Welcome back. President Trump President Biden this week released what he clearly thought would be a warning. No, President Trump, what he clearly thought would be a warning to would-be Republican challengers in 2024. But it's raising more questions than answers. A Trump super PAC was heralding results of polls in 5 key battleground states he lost in 2020, claiming the results show the former president leading Joe Biden in every single one. But experts are raising some questions about the polls, since a pollster who conducted them confirmed the numbers to Politico, but would not share the actual results or reveal the methodology of the poll. We are continuing to follow new developments in the January 6th investigation. Donald Trump's legal team is headed back to court on Tuesday as the former president tries his luck one more time to keep the January 6th committee from getting their hands on hundreds of pages of documents from his archives. We have new insight today from Congressman Adam Schiff on what his select committee is looking for that Trump may be trying to hide.
Was this essentially the backup plan for the failed litigation around the country? Was this something that was anticipated? How was it funded? What did the funders know about what was likely to happen that day? And what was the president's response as the attack was going on, as his own vice president was being threatened?
Kyle Cheney is a senior legal affairs reporter for Politico and joins us now for more on what is coming up this week. Kyle, good to see you. Thanks for joining us on this. Lawyers are first going to have to prove whether the court even has the legal authority to hear this dispute. So where does it go?
So we're now heading to the appeals court. This is the most important moment for the January 6th committee, because the appeals court is going to decide whether, again, these hundreds of pages you referenced will go from the National Archives where they're housed to congressional investigators. And these are things like memos that Chief of Staff Mark Meadows was sending on January 6th about January 6th. It'll be the clearest look inside Donald Trump's head, or at least the people who know the most about his thinking, what they were saying and doing around him as this was all unfolding.
Let's talk subpoenas here. 10 new subpoenas handed out over the last week. You got Steve Bannon not cooperating, as we have seen, obviously. Mark Meadows, it seems like, also not going to cooperate at this point. Also, Jeffrey Clark, former Department of Justice official, seems not to be cooperating. What will happen?
So this is a big week for the committee, because they're going to decide probably whether or not to hold Mark Meadows, the former chief of staff, in contempt of Congress, like they did to Steve Bannon. Now, Steve Bannon was charged by the Justice Department for contempt of Congress. Meadows would be a different category because he was at Trump's side in the White House on January 6th. So it's a much different legal case than the one against Bannon. But if the committee decides that Meadows is resisting them beyond the point of what's legally allowed, they may try to go the same route, and it puts him in a different sort of peril than he's been in so far, and will, I guess, suggest, how serious the committee is about thinking they can hold people like Mark Meadows criminally accountable, just like Steve Bannon.
Can you take me through this document that you posted? It was a picture of a document. The lawyer for 2 of the Oath Keepers and one of the Proud Boys has been littering with the docket, and it made a lot of false accusations, a lot of false claims. I was actually quite curious and confused as to whether or not this was even written up by a lawyer, considering how it was phrased and what was in it.
So I selectively chose one page to highlight there, but these were a series of filings over the last few days, and actually over the last few weeks, even more from one particular lawyer for one of the Oath Keepers, one of the Proud Boys, who has made some very strange and not real and kind of nonsensical arguments about what went on January 6th. They don't pass the common sense test, let alone the legal test. And so I'm trying to discern what the strategy is here, because the judge in these cases, in particular in the Oath Keepers case, is not going to stand for this kind of nonsense, this sort of anti-legal stuff that doesn't make any sense. So I don't know where this goes, but there's going to be some hearings coming up this week in front of that judge, and he may let us know that he's not taking too kindly to the sort of frivolous arguments that we're seeing from this particular attorney.
While I have you, I just quickly want to ask you about an odd twist on all of this as well. A Jesus Christ superstar actor who's also a Michael Jackson impersonator being charged?
One of the weirdest cases I've seen in this entire episode. He was one of the Oath Keepers who was part of the now infamous stack that sort of went in together into the Capitol. And he was not visible because he was masked that day. But over the course of months and an extensive investigation, they've identified this actor who plays Judas in Jesus Christ Superstar, currently touring this month, and they just arrested him last week. And maybe the strangest member of this Oath Keepers crew.
Kyle Cheney, thank you.